Morning on chapter 10 of Leviticus, and we're just looking at what happens if you don't follow the instructions of God. In chapter 9 and 10, we looked at the very specific instructions that the priests and their sons need to follow, and then we have an example of two of the priest's sons stepping out of line. And let's see from verse 1. Now Nadab and Abihu, that's the two sons of Aaron, the sons of Aaron took their respective fire pans, and after putting fire in them, placed incense on them, and offered strange fire, or unauthorized fire, before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And so they've now stepped outside of what God had commanded. And then verse 2, and the fire came out from the presence of the Lord, and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. And so that fire, the end of chapter 9, that came down and consumed the sacrifice, and the whole congregation celebrated the presence of the Lord. Now that same fire is coming down in judgment. And so God will come and judge this world with fire. And if we don't know Jesus, we're going to burn with fire forever. And so a very strong warning here. Either you completely obey the law, 100%, because the wages of sin is death, and the result is fire. And here we see them being burnt up with fire. Verse 3, and Moses said to Aaron, it is what the Lord spoke, saying, by those who come near me I will be treated as holy, and before all the people I will be honored. So therefore Aaron kept silent. I think he knew that his sons had stepped out of line. God hadn't been honored. We don't know exactly what this strange fire is. It can be many different things. In fact, if we read on verse 9, we'll get there now. It could even be that they were drunk when they offered that fire. The point is they were stepping out of line. Verse 4, Moses called also to Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Aaron's uncle, and said to them, come forward, carry your relatives away from the front of the sanctuary to the outside of the camp. So they came forward and carried them still in their tunics to the outside of the camp, as Moses had said. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, do not uncover your heads, nor tear your clothes. They weren't even allowed to mourn the loss of these two boys, so that you will not die, because the God's fury, God is holy, he won't tolerate this. And that he will not become wrathful against all the congregation, because God's that wrath could now take them out, because they're part of this. In one sense, sin affects everyone. But your kinsmen and the whole house of Israel shall bewail the burning which the Lord has brought upon. You shall not even go out from the doorway of the tent of meeting, or you shall die. For the Lord's anointing oil is upon you. So they did according to the word of Moses. And then the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, do not drink wine or strong drink, neither you your sons with you, when you come into the tent of meeting, so that you will not die. As a perpetual statute throughout your generations. And so, as to make a distinction between the holy and the profane, and between the unclean and the clean. So it's not just following exact regulations, it's also how you come, your conduct. If you're coming drunk, you're coming out of line. And so, it's just there's even an example there of we can obey things, but we can obey things under the influence, and that's wrong. We can obey things, but if our heart is wrong, it's wrong. Verse 11, and so as to teach the sons of Israel and all the statutes which the Lord had spoken to them through Moses. Then Moses spoke to Aaron and his surviving sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, take the grain offering that is left from the Lord's offering by the fire, and eat it unleavened beside the altar, for it is most holy. You shall eat it moreover in a holy place, because it is your due and your sons' due of the Lord's offering by fire, for thus I have been commanded. The breast of the wave offering, however, and the thigh of the offering you may eat in a clean place, you and your sons and your daughters with you, for they have been given as your due and your sons' due out of the sacrifices of the peace offering of the sons of Israel. The thigh offering by lifting up, and the breast offering by waving, shall bring along with offerings by fire, and the proportions of fat, to present as a wave offering before the Lord. So it shall be a thing perpetually due you and your sons with you, just as the Lord commanded. But Moses searched carefully for the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it had been burnt up. So he was angry with Aaron's surviving sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, saying, Why did you not eat the sin offering at the holy place? For it is the most holy, for he gave it to you to bear away the guilt of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. Behold, since it is blood has not been brought inside into the sanctuary, you shall certainly have eaten it in the sanctuary, just as I commanded. But Aaron spoke to Moses, Behold, this very day they presented the sin offering and burnt offering before the Lord. When things like these happened to me, if I had eaten a sin offering today, would it have been good in the sight of the Lord? When Moses heard this, it seemed good in his sight. And so perhaps because of the losing of the sons, I didn't want to eat that day. Hunger had gone, and so Moses just checking to make sure everything is done according to the Lord's plan. And there's got to be a carefulness in our hearts as we even go through this day. Are we following the pattern of the Lord? Are we being obedient in every area of our lives? Amen.